Okay, looks like we're on live again. I just wanted to see because I wasn't getting any of the comments that I got the last few times. So I hope that's a case here that I will get them because again, I really like interacting with everyone. I always appreciate that. So let me just double check it. It looks like it has gone through. Okay. All right. So here we are again. Apologize. So as I mentioned in my mass email, I'll be talking about my original art for Table of One, my first graphic novel, comic book. I've been going back and forth on a comic book graphic novel. And again, I hope the comments come through. They came through the last few times. I like interacting with you guys. Hopefully that works. If you could let me know out there. Let's see. Nothing so far. Space, don't know who they are. Okay. If you could just let me know, I would appreciate it. If you're there, if it's going out, as far as I know, it is, but I'd like to hear from you guys. So I'm just going to start this. Anyway, so this is my original art for my first graphic novel, Table of One. It's my first graphic novel. I walked through the crowded room, not a soul in sight. Alex Toth loved it. You are a mighty talented pro. Write, draw, stage, tell stories of brilliant savvy to all elements in the mix. I'm very impressed. Kudos. I mean, think about that. Thanks, guys. Thanks for chiming in. I see you guys. Thumbs up. Very, very cool. This takes place in an underground restaurant in Manhattan in one night, and takes place a little after 9/11, to give you the context. The reason why I did that was because I was in the middle of doing it. 9/11 hit. I asked myself, am I going to scrap this and go right into what ended up being Pigman, or am I going to finish it and then do it? I said, let me finish it, but let me add a double page spread where the characters have their say-so about what happened. So that was this page. And I made a video of this the other day, actually, where I read the entire page and I discussed what was going on. So this is my book. It's 20 years old, 2004, first published it. I finished it, I think, 2001, 2002, technically speaking. And it sat with a few would-be publishers, and I was getting a little frustrated. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna self-publish it, which is what I ended up doing. And then after I was nominated for an Eisner, publishers were interested after the fact, but still. And then a partner of one of the agents who was representing me said it was already tainted, quote unquote. I guess that's the lingo they use in the publishing industry. I don't know, as in it was already published, self-published. But there was some interest from I think Random House. That was the last final serious interest one. Anyway, so what I have here is the original pages. They're 14 by 17. This page 56 of the book. And I like this page. I like the composition. I like the way it came out. I like the wine room with all those wine bottles there. And I wanted to keep the black and white. I wanted to keep the black and white art black and white for the large page, right? And I knew at a certain point I would add the gray wash. And so what I did was I said, okay, I like to retain this in black and white, the purity of black and white, right? And then I said, let me make copies, smaller copies of black and white. So this is an original art, pencil, ink, everything here, right? That's the original page. And then here is a copy of this on a thicker paper, so I can actually use the gray wash, so I can paint it. So everything, all the gray in here is original art. It's what I use to add all the shadows. And look at the difference between the table even in the original art and this one, with the shadows, the floor, the little cracks in the wall and whatnot, and give it a little more flavor, and also makes the word balloons pop out a little more, and so on. So when you get the original art, you get the full black and white and the gray wash page. And I have what do I have? 78, 79 of these. I think 78 or 79 because I sold at least 2 pages. I sold the one that's behind me. I walked through the crowded room, not a selling site. I sold that page, and I sold another one where, okay, let me show you quick the pages that I sold. I sold this page right here, this one, this page, and I sold this page as well, this one. So everything else I have. So let me go through. And then also, as somewhat of a bonus, early on, when I was thinking about doing a story that takes place in a restaurant, in the Underground Restaurant Manhattan, I said, okay, so I went to art school in the School of Visual Arts. And I was, it was a teacher, Howard Cruz, who basically challenged us that in that semester he would have us write pencil, ink, letter, a comic book, a short story, 5, 6 pages. I think it ended up being 6. And so I did that. And I said, okay, let me use the restaurant as my backdrop, right? I worked in a restaurant for years. Let me use that as its little mini world, right? All these characters, and it revolve around each other. And it's like a mini society to some extent. And so this was an early image of the character who ended up being William Howland, the waiter, wannabe writer. And he had a white shirt then. He ended up having a black shirt here. He's dressed in all black with a white tie. I try to emphasize a moral character. It's like with a long tie. It's like a priest, but he's even with a longer tie, like more moral type thing. At least that was the intention. He's the only one in pure black and white. Everyone else is gray and white and black mixed. They're all mixed. So this was an idea that I had for the cover. I didn't end up using it, but I like it. I like it. It has a little. I like the lettering, the shadows, the way it came out. It's pretty cool. Character ended up looking a little different, but I like how that came out. And then I have these other pages. And again, let me show you these quick. Let me show you, like, the gray wash. I'm not going to show the contrast between the pages yet. I wanted to show those. Like, look, I mean, this, right? Let me show you this. There's a fight scene in there, and it gets pretty brutal. And it was fun to draw because, again, it took place in an underground restaurant, but there was some shenanigans, let's just say, from the boss. So this is the fight scene, right? This is the way, and again, I mentioned in that one video the other day, the sound effects, right? Letters, with the D apostrophe SH. It's supposed to make sound like a real punch sound, instead of pow, pap, bap and all that. I thought that was a little more effective. So that's the pure black and white version, and then you got the version, again, pure black and white, original art here, and then you have this, a copy of that, the black lines, and then I added the gray wash. So in this one, the gray wash, which is diluted black ink and water, I had I think 6 different dilutions, and I dipped in whenever I wanted to make it darker, because here even, it's lighter gray, a little darker, and then a little darker there. And the shadows really help. I mean, look at that. Just the contrast between the face there. If you see it, the shadows, it really works for me. The bottom one too. It just works. And to differentiate the ground also, a little darker there, and also his tooth really pops in the gray wash version. So yeah, again, you get these. If you get these pages, you get. If you buy them, you get for $3.50 again, and that's the limit. Anyone wants to argue about these things and battle it out here for like a mini auction to some extent? Hey, go for it. But so you get this page, 14 by 17. This one, I don't know what this is exactly. 8 by 11, probably. But it is just as much of original art as this is, because again, this is what it ended up looking like published, and that is the original gray wash. So I added all the gray paint on there. So I got other pages here. Let me show you the gray wash for now, actually. Just the gray wash. And then I'll show you some more black and white. Things like this. This. And in the opening, Richard DeGrado, Degrade, his boss calls him in, and he says, "You got to come to work tonight." He goes, "You should try asking." He goes, No, I need you. He goes, "I said try Ass King." He calls him the Ass King, right? Because he's a kiss ass guy, and I emphasize that by look at his chin, and then look at where he puts out his cigarette butts. Ashtray. A little fun with that. Childish toilet humor, I guess, to some extent. But I like roasting these guys. He ended up being a composite of a lot of bosses I worked for. At one point he says, he calls them family. He goes, "If you weren't family," he goes, "we're not family." He goes, "I'm your goddamn uncle." He goes, "Yeah, only through a deranged marriage." Deranged marriage. He goes, deranged. Because in my family, my Muslim Albanian family, there were arranged marriages. Sometimes couples met each other on the wedding day. They lift a veil and they hope that someone's going to be attractive. It's crazy, especially in America. And then something like this also. This is, again, the original of the gray wash. And, it just really popped on the page outside of just pure black and white art. But I wanted to keep them separate. I just didn't want to, I don't know, I wanted to retain the black and white for the black and white art, the original ones, and then I wanted to just do this. And maybe a part of me was a little indecisive to the point where I didn't want to botch it, I think, on those big pages. I said, you know what? Because usually I think colorists also color on smaller pages, at least back in the day. They used to color when it was maybe print size, as far as I remember. So to some extent, maybe I was following that lead. But I love the way it came out. It really, the shadows really made it pop. They weren't like that in the original black and white. Maybe I suggested them at times, maybe. But, so, another page here. I might have the black and white here. Let me just look quick. This is another page. It's pretty funny where William Howland and the boss, a little back and forth here. The boss tells him, "Will, bring God meaning the customer that he calls Godfather, and he calls him a Godfather. Godfather says God, just God." He's like, "Okay." So he says, "Bring God his wine. His wine. Dave knows which one." He goes, "God." He goes, "Just bring it." And the lady says, "Excuse me." He goes, "Yes, ma'am. Do you have soul tonight?" "I'm sorry, I don't." Will says, "Indeed." So little things like that. It's just funny. And then he brings a gift, gifts to the God, right? He brings a gift to the God, and the God, that's the God, right there. And he wears 2 crosses. He's a double crosser. And he brings him the gift. He goes, "What the hell is that?" So 0 respect for him. He treats him like shit. And he's a very, rich customer. Rich, famous, powerful customer. A lot of things he says goes. And he was very nervous about it, Richie, when he walked in. Let me show you something quick also. I think I have these pages. I think I do, yeah. Okay. I just want to show you the contrast between these two as well. Okay. And just to show you how again, you got the black and white, right? And and then I got the gray wash. I mean, look at the bottom right panel and the difference, the contrast of the shadows on Richie's face. It just makes everything pop a little more, that's all. And again, from that to that, the corner box, it just really, I think, just opens up that page, that a panel that is. And I love those, back in the day when I saw Alex Toth do it in Creepy and Eerie, and also Ditko. Ditko has some great gray wash pages in those Creepy and Eerie books. They were fantastic. This also, this page, I think was comics always go left to right, right? Left to right, always, right? Motion, left to right, reading, left to right. So, in this one scene, things don't go quite his way, Will. He's locked out of that room that he has to get into to get the money that he was promised because he was betrayed. And that door's locked. So he's going from left to right instead of, right to left. Sorry. He's going from right to left. The opposite direction, as comics are usually read. And, by the way, again, this is the gray wash version. Again, it just makes everything pop a little. So he did that, and I think even just showing the carpet like that, the different color to differentiate between that and the wall, just gives it a nice touch. And also just gives different layers of color, right? White, gray, black. Very dramatic. And also, again, it's angling him out of the story almost, right? Okay, it's over. Well, it's not over. He actually has a change of mind and aggressively gets back. And by the way, if anyone's watching that has read this, I did this, which was an extra. This was an extra page. That's not in the graphic novel. Someone asked me if he could just commission me to do a page in between all the fight scene. So I may have shown this years ago, but I just love, again, the shadow cut going off of the character, on the ground, on the floor, over the desk. You see that? It's like a consistent line through there. And it's called Just Desserts. Just Desserts. And again, it's pretty cool. If you've read Table for One, you probably don't recognize this page because, again, it was an additional page after the fact that a customer commissioned me for. And everything looks like, you could fit this right into the story, which I will probably end up doing at a certain point for a special edition. I intended to do like a color special edition at one point, a hardcover with, I got so much, so many extras and bonus material that I can do that. So yeah, this is a page that's not in the graphic novel that I hope to maybe add to it at a certain point. And it looks pretty seamless to me, like I just slip this in there. And I think I know exactly where to do that as well. So if anyone wants to chime in, I don't know if you guys are on other platforms. Let me see. Let me see if you guys are chiming in on other platforms. Maybe you are. And maybe there's a delay, a little problem with that here. I don't know. But let's see. If anyone wants to chime in, ask some questions about it, let me know. Let's see. Maybe everyone's busy. As simple as that, right? It's a Friday night. Who knows? 1 second. Okay. Let's see. Anything here? I think I know what happened, unfortunately. Okay. Thanks, Fleety. I appreciate that. Let's see what I can do. Why is that the case? Why is that the case? What do I do here? That really sucks. But thanks for letting me know, Fleety. Appreciate it. How'd you comment here, Fleety? One second. Damn it. Do I have to restart this entire thing? 1 second. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to figure this all out again. Restrictions, none. Quality, comments. Live chat is turned off. How can I turn that on? 1 second. Let me go to the actual page. 1 second. There must be something going on here. Live chat is... How do I find out? Edit video. Customization. Show more. Comments. What the hell, man? That sucks. Why wouldn't this be content? I don't know. Okay. It looks like it's working now. I guess so. I think this is the standard chat in the screen, the icon for the live chats. What was gray out, but I could be wrong. I just hope that anyone can see it and chime in, because I guess since you guys are chiming in, it's good to go as far as I know. Maybe I did something wrong in setting it up. I don't know. I hope not. Let me just see quick. It says here, this video has been removed by the uploader. Okay. I don't understand. Anyway, let me just go through some more pages. If you could just let me know if you saw this, and if so, I'll move on to the next pages. Johnny, be good. Your work is rad, Bosch. Keep posting and doing your thing. Appreciate it. Thanks, Johnny. Thank you. I think the standard chat, the screen icon for the live chats was gray out, but I could be wrong. I hope that's not the case. I think there's an option sometimes. They ask you, do you want to set up the page for comments? I was like, yeah, why wouldn't I? It's like it's automatically turned off unless you set it up. It's very, 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 very strange. But let me try to see what I can do there. 1 second, guys. Comments. Strange. But let me try to see what I can do there. I know you can hear me there. Sorry, guys. Okay, looks like they're all coming through. So as of right now, it looks like they're all coming through. Okay. Okay. Okay, it looks like they are going through. I just okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. Let me go through a few more pages here and there. I got this. I will show you the black and white one, and then also the gray wash one as well. Okay. Pretty cool. I'm glad I was able to. Turned off unless you set it up. Sounds a lot like my wife. It's funny. So yeah, this is one of the pages, table 1 as well. And then here's the way it was published. So again, if you weren't here at the beginning, here's the original art, 14 by 17. I sell them for $350. If anyone wants these, you can get them, and then you can actually. So this is 14 by 17, and then I have a smaller one. I think it's 8 by 11. So this is pure black and white art, right? I didn't want to change that. I want to keep it black and white. And then I made copies of the black and white art here, but I added the gray wash. So you can see the little bridge behind them. It's a little more. It connects them a little more. It's a bridge to the relationship also. And the little lights, behind them with the gray wash that I use. So it makes it pop off a little more. Even that panel with their hands, when their hands are about to get together. So yeah, so you get basically this, the black and white, and then you get the gray wash page as well. Cool. I don't know the album art, but I know the band, Sonic Youth. Thanks. Appreciate it. And again, this is from my first book. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I gotta try to shut that. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. So let me go through a few more pages. Another page here. And that's his kiss-ass glasses, right? And they're in the shape, if you look at the way I handle them, it looks like an ass. Because, again, they're kiss-ass glasses. And that's what the God calls it. Thanks, Immoral Fat. Yeah, that's the book, and this is the original art that I'm selling. Again, for $350, I can't go under that. I know it's a lot for some of you, especially. I get it, believe me. I just can't part with it for anything less. So you get the pure black and white art, right? Cool. Goo. Thanks, man. Johnny. And then you get this along with the black and white art. Okay. So this is you get the black and white art, and then you get the gray wash pages as well. This one is a real different than the black and white art, because what I try to do here, if it's not obvious, I'm trying to, this is like a stand-in for the boss, right? That it's like a silhouette of him, right? Where you see where he's looking. And where he's looking is at that guy. He's looking at the main character because he's lit up. Everything else is in gray. And then, of course, I used his head as a head shape, emphasize that. At least that was my intention. I hope you guys got that. And then funny things like this guy is about to, he's making fun of the customers. He goes, you heard that bitch on table one? He goes, which one? He goes, ah. He's so reckless, he knocks down one of the ice buckets, smashes them all, like 4 ice buckets, boom, 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 boom. And then he goes, rip, as in, rip, R-I-P. Clean it up. He goes, it was Lou. He's blaming it on the other guy. And then he goes, snap, via, porco, via. Which is something that some bosses used to tell me that. I do, Johnny. I do. It's very expensive. Anyone's willing to pay for it. Absolutely. I just want to let you know, because these pages are a little bigger. Again, they're 14 by 17. If you're talking about these original art or just anything, I do sell. And I have Table for One, the graphic novel. I have it available, digital, PDFs, and my Pigman comics as well. Mainly for international audiences, because again, the costs are they have skyrocketed, I think, ever since COVID. They were always a little expensive, but man. But I do sell, I ship this out to Europe. I definitely do. I just got to get a larger, like a shipping sleeve, because these are bigger. It's 14 by 17. It's not 11 by 17 like I normally have. So I have to get some boxes. And what I do is I get like these big boxes and I flatten them and I cut them, and make sure but these are secure. I make sure. I also put a little cardboard around them and plastic wrap as well. So I do that. And again, I just want to show you the contrast between some of the pages and the gray wash. Like this, for instance. Okay. I showed this before, maybe you guys missed it. So here's the pure black and white art, right? It's 14 by 17. It's penciled and then ink over India ink. And then you also receive this, which is a black and white copy of this page. But then I added the gray wash. Again, I wanted to keep the larger ones pure black and white. And again, I guess for some reason, maybe I figured I don't want to botch the original pages. So I said, okay, if I do that, I made a few copies necessary, backup if I had to. And the contrast, I think, is really great. Because look, you see the panels on the bottom, and you see the gray wash just really enhances it. The shadows from the bodies. So it's a nice little extra. I guess you get some kind of extra for it. But I just wanted also to give you the page the way it looks in the actual graphic novel. I think it's important as well. So you get a pure black and white one, and then you get this. And some people hang them, side to side. I only sold a couple of pages of these, a couple of pages of Pigman as well. I'm not precious about my original art. I'm not. At the same time, I can't part with it for less than $350. I just can't. So I still value them, but I just, in the end, to me, they're raw material. The end result is the book. That's the whole point of it, right? I'm telling a story. So they're not just pieces of art as ends into themselves. They're basically made for the story. So I'm not precious about it. But again, if I part with them, I just want to get a good return. That's all. Okay. You got this. Good to know. But shipping to Europe is a nightmare. I'll have to think. But again, so thank you. I get it. Believe me. Most of it gets there, and I will say that some of it comes back to me. It's a hassle sometimes. DHL, is that one of the European ones? Most of it gets there. I can't say all of it, unfortunately. But most of it does, and sometimes it gets there a lot sooner than I would assume. Sometimes that does happen. It's not consistent at all, especially since COVID. Just want to show you a little more pages here. This is one of the early pages. Let me try to find the corresponding page here. Give me 1 second. I might have to dig deep here. Again, I have about 80-something pages here of the graphic novel. Got some more pages here. Interesting. Got some other work. Okay, then this also, right? Check this out. Now, my original cover. Here's a little story. My original cover, I went to a convention 2002, 2003 maybe, 2003 probably. And I went to a convention and I spoke with Diamond, some representatives at Diamond, Steve Leaf and someone else, good guy. And I was listening to their pitch, right, about cartoonists and how they can get into Diamond, because it's the biggest, distributor in North America and the world. I mean, I've got my books. This book is a few thousand copies right out of the gate, and some indie creators were shocked. To me, I was like, I want more. I want to sell even more than that. So, however many I sold, which was a few thousand, I want to sell more right out of the gate. Anyway, so I went to them and I showed them my book, and then here's the cover as it ended up being, right? The reason why it ended up being like this, which I really liked the way it came out, by the way, is because this was the original cover, right? That was. And it ended up being here. Look at the font. Look at the face. You got the villain there. You have the female in there. You have Toth's words. So what happened was I was showing the guys this, and they looked at each other. They were like, "Whoa!" They were impressed, especially the Toth quote. One of them knew about Toth at least. And I think what happened was that by the time I was done with this, I was so exhausted. It was a 4 or 5 months, right, process. I wrote pencil, ink, letter, my first book within 4 or 5 months, and I didn't sleep. I slept a few hours a night. I made sure I wanted to make that deadline for Comic-Con. It was the San Diego Comic-Con 2002. That's what it was. And so I busted my ass, and then the cover was the last thing I wanted to do. And maybe I was exhausted because it's a very, very simple cover, very stark. I like it, but they nudged me, Diamond, because I had a full-page ad in there, right? I wanted some quotes from Toth and some others that read it, Dennis Kitchen and some others. Charles, yo. Thanks, Peter, guys. And I'm sorry about the comments. I don't know what happened. I just don't know. So it was Steve Leaf and him and another guy. I forgot the guy, but they were like, "This looks good. We will pick it up. We will put it in Diamond in the previews, catalog. But can you consider it a different cover?" What they were saying basically was, "Look, you got something good here. Don't fuck it up. Give it a good cover. Don't just have the guy just standing there in a silhouette." In so many words, right? Without saying it. They were very polite. And I said, "Oh, okay, yeah. I said, "Let me think about it." So I sat down. I said, "Okay, table for one. Have the woman table for one, right? have Will in the situation he is with her. They didn't speak to each other for a while. Thanks. It was, again, 18-hour days, very little food. I lost 20 pounds, I think. It was pretty intense. But I finished it, and I was very proud of it. And then again, at the end, I think I was so exhausted that the cover just was, you know what, this is great. It's just a silhouette. That's exhaustion talking. And again, this is not, it's not really busy, but it's a lot more involved. I mean, you got the main character, right? And he's a writer, right? So the sword is mightier, the pen is mightier than the sword. So what I did, I made his pen wrapped like a samurai sword. If you look at it, it's like a samurai sword, right? Holding it. And like James Bond, right? And it gives you a little intrigue, like, okay, what is this? But then, of course, it's just about the restaurant. And you get the black and white, right? And the black being the boss, the bad guy. The black of white morality, right? You got the white character, the white, they're in whites in the silhouettes. So just a contrast between them. And this was also a consideration for the cover, because when I was done, I figured this is probably the strongest image, and the words. It ended up being my signature image of the entire graphic novel, and it's, I have it behind me in a large canvas, 4 feet by 3 feet, I believe. And it ended up being the thing that I think, I know that Joe Quesada, the former editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics at the time, I sent it to him. And I sent them this image, and I was sending everyone. I was sending Barry Windsor-Smith. I sent Dave Sim. I sent a lot of people. Dennis Kitchen, Toth, and I got back Ditko. I tried to get it to Miller. I don't think I was able to, but a lot of people responded. All these guys responded. Barry Windsor-Smith said, "This is a lot of work for your first book." He was impressed by that. Dave Sim took a lot of time writing these incredibly lengthy, just diatribes, on the page. Harsh at times and complimentary at times, and it was very, very helpful. The guy really took his time out. I think when the ideas started coming in is, I think when he started to lose interest, because maybe our ideas contrast with each other. I think he's all over the place as far as I remember. Anyway, so this was going to be the cover. I walked through the crowded room, not a soul in sight. And I'll repeat it again. Joe Quesada saw it. He goes, "Hey, you got more?" I said, "I have 80 pages. It's a whole story." He goes, "Send it. I said, I was excited. I was like, hell yeah. Because again, it takes place in one night in a restaurant, right? It's not something that Marvel would necessarily produce. But, maybe, you never know. Maybe, right? It's, I gave it everything I had. It was my first effort, so I said, okay, I'm going to try to enter the field that I love with something uniquely me. It's about a struggling artist working as a waiter, which is what I've done over the years. Charles, between the covers, or, yeah. And so what happened was that Joe Quesada was very excited about this. I was very excited that he was excited. I was like, hell yeah, great. End up sending it. He got sick, really sick. Got in the hands of a communist named Axel Alonso, who ended up being editor-in-chief of Marvel years later, who ended up bringing in Miss Marvel, the Muslim superhero, all that bullshit, who brought in the quote-unquote wokeness, the communist work, right? All the commie shit was in. I call it Marvel commies. But he probably threw it in the garbage. Almost guaranteed. And Joe Zabel, who was a cartoonist who had this one online comic book outlet, he wanted to publish it online, and I was resistant. I was like, I don't know, I want it in print. I just want to feel it, and I think readers want that as well. Plus, it's a black and white story. It's like an old movie type thing, Oh yeah, thanks, Charles. So he was very, very generous, Joe Zabel. He says, a single night in a single setting that conveys an entire way of life, an entire philosophy, the past, present, and future of several characters. The dialogue, succinct, idealistic, and tough. That's very nice. Very nice. And then, of course, Alex Toth, the master. This is an excerpt from his one of his postcards. You are a mighty talented pro. Write, draw, stage, tell stories with brilliant savvy to all elements in the mix. I'm very impressed. Kudos from Alex Toth, who I consider the greatest comic book artist of all time. There's no contest. Again, I was into Miller and Romita and Kirby and Ditko and all these greats and Buscema. I was into all those guys. And John Byrne, I mean, great, right? Rick Leonardi, even when he filled in those issues of Spider-Man, when he did Cloak and Dagger, just great stuff, right? And then I discovered Toth. And it was like a revelation, like, where was this guy? And I came into him late, and I was like, he's the guy. Huh. Yeah, Marvel Comics. I made a little graphic about that. I walked around down a solo site. Man, I feel like that speaks to a lot of areas of entertainment in today's world. Music, yep. Johnny B. Good writes, I walked to a crowded room, not a solo site. Man, I feel like that speaks to a lot of areas of entertainment in today's world. Music, art, gaming, etc. Rare to find that shine. Soul glow. Absolutely true. And again, the thinking also was Space Ghost. That design is brilliant. And, Toth, however great he was not arrogant. He didn't fancy himself the greatest. He didn't talk that language, right? Like Michael Jordan doesn't say, I'm the greatest. Leave that to LeBron, who's not the greatest, to say, I'm the greatest, right? Leave it to lesser artists. Toth didn't say that. And, I get it. Believe me. That, okay, the second cover, as in, well, this was the first one. This is the second cover. Let me know what you mean, Charles. Just curious. And again, look, I roll with the punches. I mean, someone wants criticized, go for it. Believe me, because I know it's like someone said that there was a battle between Superchild and Pigman. Maybe it could have been more. I said, hey, maybe when I do the final book, do some punch-ups. Do an extra page there. Totally go with that. I want it to be as good as possible, right? And when the fans speak, I think anyone should consider, unless it's absolute, just trolls looking to fuck around. Sure. Outside of that, if they're sincere, hey, consider it. If you want to make it better, sometimes fans have ideas. People, friends, fellow artists have better ideas than you initially had, and it's like I want to incorporate that. Absolutely. But I was saying something here. Space Ghost, Toth. He designed Space Ghost, and he was praised about it. He goes, well, look, I was given an image of Adam West as Batman and said, do something along those lines. So that was a jumping start. So he never took great credit for that, because he felt it was something that was already, initiated by that. But still, the design's brilliant. It's beautiful. LeBron drew all the Archies. Yeah. I don't know what that means. As in the Archie comics. It's funny. And then there's this. I used to walk around, take little doodles, right? Little pads. This ended up being the cover art, right there. That's the actual drawing for the cover art. And it's something that I just used, because I made so many versions of the cover. One day, you'll see them in a special edition. It'll be, 150 pages probably, because there's so much in there. I went off on there. And this ended up being the cover. And if you notice, it's not obvious, but it's based on James Dean. His bone structure. The hair is different, clearly. But, it's not obvious either, but it's just, that was the base. That was the base character. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so Johnny B. Good says, what's your thoughts on Alan Moore? A lot of folks would consider him the greatest of all time, but at times his aggressive attitude throws me off. Admire him regardless. Great writer. He pisses me off too, and not just for the aggressiveness, but for his aggressive anti-conservatism, anti-rightism, anti-libertarianism, anti-Ayn Rand, anti-Ditko, and all that. That's pissed me off. This idea that he's some kind of neutral person, right? He's just an anarchist. No, that bastard wore a hammer and sickle T-shirt proudly in a picture. I'm like, yeah. And as I note often, if you haven't read Watchmen, maybe check out right now, because I'm going to mention something that tells on it. If you read it, cool. One, two, three. Let me say it. It's a big, fat graphic novel, over 200 pages, right? Maybe up to 300. It's very good. But without Rorschach, it collapses in on itself because there's no moral character in there. Dr. Manhattan is the most powerful guy. He's the most immoral, amoral, doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know what he's thinking, he's lost his humanity. He walks around like a ghost, And you got the comedian who's a corrupt, ugly version of Captain America who will actually do what the government tells him to do. It's disgusting. And then you have Rorschach, who is based on Ayn Rand / Steve Ditko's characters, objectivist characters, right? Black and white morality, right and wrong, good and evil, truth, lies. And so it was Alan Moore's attempt to try to bring in Ditko's Mr. A / The Question into his universe. Because what they did was initially he wanted the Charlton characters, which was Captain Atom, who ended up being Dr. Manhattan, the Owl, who was it? Blue Beetle, who ended up being the Owl, and Mr. The Question, who ended up being Rorschach. They couldn't get the rights to them, or I think DC didn't want to give them up to Moore for his deconstructionism, right? They wanted to sell them as in their own titles. They didn't want to, I guess, pervert them, for their needs. They didn't want to poison them. Anyway, so you open a book and you read it and then you finish it, and then it just hit me. I was like, okay, hold on. In the first issue, the opening few pages, one of the right-wing characters gets killed, right? And then last issue, another right-wing character gets killed. So it's bookended with the murders of two right-wing characters. Not left-wing characters, right-wing characters. And the strongest characters. Comedian, even though he's corrupt and all that, he's a stronger character than the other guys. And then Rorschach is the best character, hands down. And again, because if you want to make him at all recognizable to Ditko's work, you have to make it somewhat recognizable, right? So that was the big danger for Moore, because Moore wanted to bring down Ayn Rand. He wanted to bring down the black and white morality. He wanted to bring down Ditko and his ideas, right? No matter what he says, that's what he wanted to do. He's a leftist. He's an anarchist, as he called himself, but he's a leftist. So he wanted to at least be recognizable as something like Ditko. So there were virtues in Ditko's characters. Therefore, Ayn Rand's characters. So no matter what his intention was, he ended up being the most compelling character in the entire graphic novel. The best. The most moral character. The one who tells them at the end, when he sees this horror that was committed, right? And he finds out that his fellow superheroes want to be silent about what happened and say, okay, you know what? Let's just be quiet and let it happen. And just, let's make sure that no one finds out. And he's like, you're joking. He goes, never compromise, not even in the face of Armageddon. Never compromise. It's powerful stuff. And why? Because it was Moore trying to channel Ditko. That's where the virtue of the character and the came out. And that's why he's still the most compelling character in a graphic novel. I mean, you have, again, there's no Rorschach. There's no compelling story. There isn't. Every time he's in there, it's something compelling, something interesting going on. There's something real and true going on, right? No matter how ugly Moore tried to make him, no matter how ugly Gibbons tried to draw him, and they did. They tried to diminish, again, Rand's characters. They basically took how it worked, right? He was a tall, strong-looking, masculine male, red hair, and make him into a short guy, red hair, freckles, ugly, unshaven, and he wears lifts. It's noted in there. Moore, of course, wanted to put that little detail in there that, hey, let the reader know that this guy wears lifts. It's all BS. Charles says, the contrast between the title and the face, the values are the same. About LeBron, about Table for One, sorry. You mentioned LeBron. Okay, best thinker, the GOAT. Not sure, Charles. Sorry. You're talking about Terry Austin or... Johnny B. Good says, Swamp Thing, created by writer Len Wein and artist Bernie Wrightson, took an interesting turn when Alan Moore took control of it and took a very Kafka approach. Great analysis on Watchmen. Thanks, man. It's a great piece of work. I reread it a number of times. And again, I just find the Rorschach parts compelling as hell. He's a great character. Visually, he's great. In the movie, it was very strong as well, the way they did that. And again, it's like you can't dismiss it. I've seen people try to dismiss it. I even tried at a certain point when I was younger, but it's strong. It's a strong piece of work. But again, it's strong because I think because of the main character, because the way I see it, the main character, and he is the main character to me. Rorschach. It's not Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan is, again, a dead man walking. A guy who's lost his humanity, who's all-powerful, all-knowing, and doesn't know shit at the same time. And he's very annoying to read. Very annoying. Very passive. Very impotent in many ways. So let me just go through a few more pages. If anyone's interested, just let me know. And you can order these on my website. BoschFawson.com. You go down, you can go down, scroll down to original art, and you can order it there, and then let me know. Message it or social media, whatever. Let me know. We'll get in touch, and then we'll make the exchange. This is another page of the graphic novel, and then there was a fight scene as well in there. And I said, okay, if I can have a fight scene, let me go off a little. Let me just open up the pages a little. And the shadows, again, it really works. Overhead shots, the sound effects. Here also, the authenticity of the restaurant business, of the coffee machines. I think that was important. The garbage, the tile floors. I wanted to really make it as authentic as possible. And also just, even putting on the tie during a conversation, instead of him just standing there. And some funny dialogue, he says, Will says to his buddy, he goes, yeah, he goes, by the way, your English is really improved. He goes, thanks, man. I was waiting for you to say something. He goes, yeah, but you gotta get your own voice. You're supposed to be studying English, not me. He goes, oh yeah? Well, I'm going to master English while you'll still be a slave to it. He goes, not bad. Almost sounded original. Now let me teach you how to work. A little banter between the workers. Charles says, had Charlton Blue Beetle, could see the blue line. What the F did go badly? It's a joke. Not sure, Charles. Sorry, I'm missing some of what you're sending my way. Who'll be a modern day casting call for one of your stories? Man, Pigman. I thought Vince Vaughn, only for the fact that he could do that if he gets But who's the actor who plays the Kingpin in Daredevil? Vincent D'Onofrio, right? You look at him when he's not the Kingpin, and he could play Frank Warner. He could really play Frank Warner, and he's a big guy, 6'3", 6'4", I think. And he can put on the deeper voice. He doesn't have necessarily a deep voice in real life, but he puts on that, And I love the choice he makes as Kingpin, because if you notice, he speaks very stilted. It's like he's a beast itching to break out at all times, and it's under a leash, like a vocal leash, almost like. And he pauses, and he stammers his words out sometimes, and he slowly tries to get it out. It's an interesting choice. If you ask me, there's one actor right now, Pigman, Vincent D'Onofrio. Absolutely. He's a great actor. I know, politically, absolutely not probably. And that's why Vince Vaughn, I was thinking about politically. He's on the right. He constantly rereads The Fountainhead, like I do. Him and his friend Jon Favreau, they love The Fountainhead. They're not leftists, A young Clint Eastwood would have been a fun casting for Table for One. Yeah, the jaw and the cheekbones. Interesting you say that, because I used to pitch Table for One at conventions as Dirty Harry as a waiter. That was my attitude about it. He's not a kiss-ass waiter. He'll do the job. He'll do it well. He just won't kiss ass. That's not his thing, right? And it's talked about in the book through some characters. And so that's the thing. He'll make the money and leave, but he'll do a competent job. He'll do a good job. So yeah, Dirty Harry is a waiter, and people chuckled at that because They got the idea. Okay, I get it. I get it. So yeah, if anyone wants to try to, this is the opening page. That's the opening page of Table Form. It's William Howland, the writer, on his roof, and he's writing these words. He's writing, "He walked into the crowded room, not a soul in sight." That's the opening line, and it's repeated in the middle of the story and then on the back cover. I walked through, because he's writing about a character, right? And again, when you're around a lot of people, people tend to lose their individuality. They're playing up to others. They're performing to some extent. This is most people, not all. Most people do that. They perform, they act, they're trying to impress, they're trying to make people laugh, they're trying, whatever. They lose themselves, they lose their individuality. That's why I love one-on-one conversations. 10 people sometimes, even like live streams. I'll do it, like the Kings. I mean, believe me, I'm not bitching about it. I'll do it, but, I just love one-on-one conversations. There's a lot more truth there, a lot more, person being a little more real, a little more who they are. So that was my thinking. He walked into the crowded room, not a soul sight. It's not, I'm not a misanthrope condemning all of humanity. No. But I know that when there's more than 2, 3, 4, 5 people, I know, personally speaking, people start acting very differently than who they are. And I never liked that as a kid. I still don't like it. And that's what I was playing up. This idea that I walked through the crowded room. It's crowded, right? Not a soul in sight. Because people are not being their true selves. And not that they have to be at all times. That's not even my point. It's just that people are playing up to each other. It's a mob mentality. That's all. And I thought it was an effective way to get that across in terms of the telling of the story and the attitude that the waiter has. I'll show a few more, and then I think I'm going to call it. Haven't gotten any offers. Maybe another time. We'll see. But again, anyone who sees this after the fact, you can go again to my store, BoschFawson.com. Scroll down a bit. I don't know how long. Could be 20 posts, and you'll see original art for sale, and then you get the options there. And overseas, domestic, you can choose that, and then get in touch with me. And let me know which page. Again, I sold a few pages Table Form, a few pages Pigman. I got a lot left. If you're interested, let me know. Here's a few more pages. As soon as the waiter enters the restaurant. And he says here, he goes, "Cheap bastard, the air conditioner only gets turned on for customers." Yeah. I worked in restaurants where the boss shut down the air conditioner all afternoon. So you're suffering in the heat because it doesn't want to waste money. Only wants to put it on for the customers. And then there's a little exchange between the only Italian guy in the entire restaurant is a black guy from Italy, Massimo. The other guys try to pass themselves off at the time, but they're not. He goes, "Will, Massimo," and then Massimo tells him, "You're finally getting some color, kid," right? Because he's been out on the sun, on the rooftop writing. He goes, "Yeah, my fair skin burns easy." He goes, "Oh, really now? And what? My skin's unfair?" He goes, "Good one." He goes, "Good one." And they have a staring contest. And then he starts to break up. He goes, He goes, "It's getting tired, old man. Tired of all the race bullshit, But they're boys. I mean, they get along. It's just funny playing that up. Just playing that up. And then here's the page after, where he walks into not the crowded room, but the room with the waiters. And in the little exchanges, it tells you who they are, what they are. And if you missed my video on this is something that's quote-unquote secret, and it is a secret that I've held for 20 years, right? And if you notice the hair on this character right there, look at it, right? It looks like a grease pit, right? It's so greasy that it's shiny, right? If you look at it closely, though, it's a guy's profile, his profile, kissing ass. And it ends up being on the side of him as well. There. And then there as well. You see it? If it's not obvious, it's, then it's just the lips there at one part. And then when he's actually in the act of ass kissing, it gets even more explicit and funny, I think. So yeah, that's the page there. And this is the second page. Where he's on the rooftop. Interesting, I added the plane after the fact. I added a plane there. It looked like it was possibly getting into the Empire State Building because it takes place not long after 9/11, and he stops cold and he waits a plane because, again, I was in New York not long after 9/11, right? And it's, it's New York, all things considered, still after the fact. It's not as busy as it was, but you're standing there, and you're, actually walking there, right? And the plane's overhead, and everyone stopped because a plane was no longer a plane after 9/11. It was a potential missile. So a plane's overhead, everyone stops, and we see it go over, and I'm like, okay. That's just the way it was the days after the attack. It was an atrocity. Should never have happened. We allowed them to get to that point after years of bombing us and killing our soldiers and USS Cole and embassies and so on and so on and so on. They got away with it. Here's another page, and then I think this will be the last page. If anyone's interested, just let me know. And again, go to my store. This is a page, third page actually. And I added all these things on his wall, things that he has, things that I had mainly. And you get the street level there. It's fun drawing that car. It's like a really cartoony car. I made it like a little character almost, plus that guy walking as well. It's just fun stuff. And that lettering, it was all handwritten. I did all the lettering on the actual pages, which is fun. All handwritten. I do digital, lettering now, just for really time and also the consistency of the quality. It's just better. It's just better. So I'll answer a few more questions in the meantime, and then I think I'll call it a night. Okay, so if Lady One says how perfect, I think you mean about the Kripnik's hair. Yeah, it's fun. It's really, really, really fun. Another page, just to show you the gray wash, that how it adds to it. It really does. The shadow. Okay. Johnny says, you should post on YouTube also, Bosch. You can post nod vids on here with links to sell your art. Whoever is sub to you will get notified. Okay, you should post on, as in, you mean post, right? I think in the community post, right? I've done a few of those. If that's what you mean, sure. I could definitely mention it. Put one of my original art things and just do that. Cool. And if you guys can subscribe, I would appreciate it. If you're not, if you could like the this video and others. I have a few dozen videos now, 12 or 13 videos on Alex Toth. I have a few Frank Miller, a couple on Frank Miller, on John Romita Sr. Hey, always DTF. Hello, just got here. What did I miss? I'm showing my original art, and I'm looking to some original art. Again, I can't go under 350. If that's too much, then that's too much. I just again, it is raw material in the end, but I'll feel decent letting go at that point. So always DTF. This is my original black and white art, right? 14 by 17, pure black and white. And then what I do is, if you buy this, I add the gray wash version. Now this is not the same page. They're all over the place here, but I just want to let you know that this is the way it looked in black and white. But when it's printed in the actual book, I added the gray wash. So this is a copy of the larger black and white page. All the black lines are a copy, right? But then all the gray wash, all the grays you see, this is an original art of that. So all the grays is me with the brush adding all the grays for all the detail, making a little more texture. Again, it's like a black and white movie. I love the gradations. I love doing that. I think I had 6 different gradations in a little batch. It was like a 1 drop of ink, 2, and so on, right? Darker, lighter, and it really worked. It really worked well. Let's see, quick. Yeah, like this, Let's see. The gray wash really took that black and white page and just enhanced it. It really did. From all the shadows on the face, on the walls. That's a moment there where the boss, he wanted to call him something. A dirty rat, right? Put a chunk of cheese in there. So yeah, if any more questions, let me know. And if you have any interest, you can go to bossboston.com. You can order a page of original art, whether it's this or I have my Muhammad art, right? I have all my Muhammad cartoons, which I think I'm going to wrap this. I'm going to cut this off and start a new stream for Muhammad cartoons. If you guys want to come back after I'm done, I'll let you know. I'm probably going to fire it up right after. But I just wanted to keep this all for the Table for One page. Johnny Be Good asks, what material do you use, and what's the most daunting, hardest part of drawing in black and white? I use India ink. I use, for this entire book, I used a brush to ink. Series 7, number 2 brush. Beautiful tool. I learned the value of inking with a brush in a Joe Kubert summer class in the Joe Kubert school. I remember when the teacher brought it up, and I was like, a brush? Like what? It's a limp little thing, and it's like it doesn't make sense, right? In your younger mind, because you're like the pen. That's when you really feel it, right? You can do you can make it do what you want it to do. A brush seemed a little unwieldy, but once you get the hang of it, it's nothing like it. And so, even though for Pigman, the Killian parts of the story, the quote-unquote real world parts, is all in pen. It's all in pen. And then the Pigman parts are all in brush. I wanted to differentiate the two, and I had the gutters in the Killian world all in black, and I had them opened up in white for the Pigman, just to contrast the two pages, the two worlds and art styles. It's not that obvious. To me, it is though. I don't know. I mean, what's the most daunting? I mean, my first book, Table for One, it was very difficult to get that first ink on the page. I remember I was so precious about it, right? My first book and all that. So precious about it, too precious about it, but I was. And I didn't put it off. I mean, I just literally found it hard to just lay it down. I was like, okay, this is it, right? Once it's there, it's there. Yeah, you could do whiteout and all that stuff, right? But there's something about that first little, drop. And you want to make sure it's good. And that's, and sure, I made a few corrections here and there after a while. And then also, digitally, it's like, okay, I didn't like the way that came out. Let me try to work it here. But that was the difficult part. And then, of course, it became a daily thing. 10 pages sometimes inked, 15 pages sometimes, 3 some days. Just the way the days went, just the way the pages were. I don't busy my art up too much. There is authentic detail. There is fine detail. If you look at this, it's authentically like a coffee machine, a cappuccino machine. I don't skimp on that, but I just don't like to add excess detail. I just don't care for that. That's not my style. I want to keep it, close to the bone, right? I want to keep it as visually pleasing to myself and hopefully others as I can, and also not get in the way of the story. I don't want to do that. I see some artists sometimes without color. You don't know what the hell's going on. And that's not good. Some artists back in the day, they used to make their art to be, as they called it, color-proof, right? Color-proof, meaning the blacks and the whites are balanced. Everything is solid. So even if a color came to fuck it up, it wouldn't be that bad. It'd be like, okay. They couldn't really ruin it. Even if they used the worst colors, it was still rock solid as a work of art. And that's why, I think it's important to get the authentic detail of the, again, like here, the coffee machine, the background, the garbage, the sink there. All those things I think are important. They're important. They're just to establish authenticity. This is an authentic restaurant back room. Those things I really enjoy. What material? Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, nothing's hard in a sense where I love this. So I don't feel like it's hard. Editing sometimes, like right now, I've been editing a script, I made a big fat script, a few hundred pages, right? And I got to whittle it down. It's been a little difficult. I will say that because there's some good stuff that I'm cutting that I don't want to cut, but I have to cut. And I'm like, all right. It's got to go. That's been a little difficult. But again, it's made with love, so it's not like it's drudgery. It's not. I love it, and I know that I'm making it better. So in that sense, difficult days maybe at times, but overall, there's something awesome about just creating something from scratch. It just is. And giving your best effort, And again, not play into the crowd, not trying to play the masses, not trying to, as I often say about, some artists who are overly detailed, it's like more lines on the page. They think they get more lines at the conventions, right? Meaning to sign their books. Detail, that's the thing. No. Now, I love like John Byrne, Terry Austin X-Men comics. I thought they were absolutely beautiful, brilliant stuff. And they were very fine detailed. George Perez at times, great stuff, incredibly detailed. Ethan Van Sciver in a Cyberfrog, very, very detailed. It's just not my style, but it's authentic detail. I mean, when he draws a Cyberfrog, it's like every little nook and cranny, every little line, every little shiny part of his body, of his metallic, legs and arms. It's a lot of work going on there. I just personally, even if I get a chance to even draw like a sketch of Cyberfrog, he'll be my version. He'll be very simplified, and he'll still look like him. But I just want to cut things to the bone. I really do. I think it's very important. I don't like to busy the faces. If you notice here, even I don't like to make a lot of lines on the faces. I want to have the faces be naked in a lot of ways. I want their expressions to show who they are. I want more than 1,000 lines. Like Jim Lee sometimes, he went off, like, he thought that was like details, like all these excess lines. Like, what the hell, man? It looks like chicken scratch. It's not attractive. It doesn't tell you anything. If everyone has that, what the hell? If one guy has that, okay. But when everyone has that, it just doesn't make sense to me. I like to keep it bare. I like to stand naked, is what it comes down to with the art. I want it to be, looked at in a serious way. Like, okay, there's something going on. There's a story being told. Let's keep moving from panel to panel. I don't want, okay. If you want to control time sometimes, the reader, let's say, you can make one page and establish a shot very detailed. You could definitely do that. And I've done that. I mean, when I'm drawing the New York, the streets of New York, yeah, it's gonna have a lot of detail because that's the streets, right? I don't want to skimp on that. It's the city. You got to get down and bear down and try to draw it as authentically as you possibly can. It's important. One more page here, and then I go back to the questions. So again, I'm selling the original art here. This is a page 56 in the story. That's the black and white original art. And then I made a copy of that. And then I added, by hand, the gray. The gray. Okay? So again, you can order these at my store, boschwalson.com. You can scroll down and see original art. And you can order, whether domestic or overseas. And then you can tell me which one you want. through any kind of messages. I'm not sure. I think you could just find me, and we'll go from there, and then we'll make the exchange. So, Johnny B. Good says, I use calligraphy pens when illustrating and found those to be useful too. Yeah, thanks for sharing your tools and process. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I tried that as well. I couldn't quite get the hang of it, whatever reason. I know some inkers use that. I use these Japanese pens. Very nice. They're very controllable, and it's a slight suggestion of a brush, even though it's a hard tip. But some tips are softer than others. I got these pens, right? Sometimes you get 2 packs. One's harder and one's softer. And you can tell the difference between the color of the pen. One's like a navy blue, one's black. And there's a beauty in that as well. And you can almost mimic a brush to some extent. So I use that. And for my current one, I'm using the brush, I'm using the pens, I'm using markers, I'm using anything and everything. Whatever works. So I went from all brush to pens and brush to now pens, brush, markers, whatever. And that's just the way I think it's worked for me. It's like, this works. And I just wanted a consistency, I think, for my first book. Everything with brush. Everything looks right. It looks consistent throughout the entire book. Every character from every angle looks the same, except on the purpose. Like this one character, he's a slippery guy, right? So his nose sometimes a little different. It was on purpose. It wasn't by accident. It was on purpose that I made him look a little different in some panels because he's a slippery guy again. He's inconsistent. He's a rat, is what he is. You can see his ass-kissing hair a little more clearly here as well. It's his nose, lips, and that's the ass. And you can see it there as well. And again, later on, when he's in the actual act, no one knows this. No one knew it either. I even mentioned it, and the people who got my book 20 years ago, like, I never knew that. I thought that was cool. It's like just a little bonus, hidden secret in plain sight. So John B. Good said, would you ever go 100% digital? I know of some artists that have transitioned fully to using just digital tools. I don't know. I've drawn on digital. I've drawn on my tablet. I've drawn in Procreate. I don't know. Maybe as an experiment, possibly. I'll let people know if I do. I just want to, because at that point there's no original art, right? So interesting. I mean, and the brushes on there are beautiful. I have the Milton Caniff brushes. Those are my favorite. Number 8 and number 16, I believe. They're great. And they're a little chunky in there. And I have these little softer tips on the pencil, which was here before. I guess I put it up there. These little rubber tips, which make it a little more nice on the glass of the iPad. It's very, very cool. Maybe one day. Maybe. I've drawn some good stuff there that are, serviceable. They were good. It's like, okay. So maybe one day. I think Graham Nolan, has done some that way, which is pretty damn cool, especially a guy, and a guy from the old days. It's like, damn, that's pretty damn cool to be that innovative and not be afraid of that technology. Okay, so if there's any more questions, just let me know. I'll answer, and then I'm going to get off this stream, crack open a new one, and just show some Hobbit cartoons if anyone wants to buy those. You guys can come back if you're paying attention. I guess add to broadcast. Huh. Okay. I see. Interesting. That's the way you do it. Okay. I'm learning all this stuff here. So I guess add to broadcast. I guess when the time comes for super chats, that's how you do it. I guess you have to manually do it. Add to broadcast or ban, right? Interesting. Okay, so I'll wait another minute if there's any more questions, any more comments. If anyone's interested in a page, let me know. Or even interested in the Pigman pages. Or even the pages that I'm doing now for my current project. Which is, that's going to be something very, very cool. And those original pages will be very big. 14 by 21. Biggest pages I've done yet. The end result for the book will be 8 by 14. Particularly tall print book at that point. All right, everyone. So I'm going to check out, and I'm going to come back in a few and show my Muhammad cartoons. You take care. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it, guys. And I'm going to end it now. Thanks. Thanks, everyone.